So, everyone's talking about the Snow White remake and how bad it is and all that, and honestly, I couldn't care less. But then it hit me. Girl boss or no girl boss, Renee Zellweger, God, I meant Rachel Zegler, but imagine Renee as Snow White. But I digress. All the RZ drama aside, every Snow White remake is essentially the same story, over and over again. Queen, bad. Snow White, good. Dwarves, slightly questionable. Why don't we rewrite it? What if Snow White, after her mother's death, got super spoiled by her classic Disney dad and turned into a full on brat? Then he goes and marries this well put together, hardworking evil queen who sees right through the kid's bullshit and starts imposing rules. Naturally, in the eyes of a spoiled child, that makes her evil incarnate. So Snowflake starts doing the big old Shrek cat eyes routine, begging her dad to divorce the witch. But luckily for the queen, she's both pretty and rich. So the king is like, sorry kid, we've got a prenup and I need the money. So Snow White is left to sulk. Now yes, the queen has a mirror, and when she hears that Snow White is prettier, she's mildly annoyed. But she's also smart. She knows that spoiled pretty kids either get their asses handed to them by life eventually, or grow up to be narcissists. So she decides on a preventive measure: boarding school. Bonus: the uniforms at the boarding school are hideous, so no more mirror drama. Snowdrop protests, of course, but the queen sends her loyal huntsman to escort her to the school. Only the little brat flirts with him, maybe even kisses him in a PG-13 fashion, and convinces him to let her go. He is too scared to admit what happened because, well, the queen would flay him alive for messing with a minor, so he photoshops some pics of the kid wearing her new ugly uniform and tells the queen the girl's at boarding school. But in reality, Snowstorm is roaming the streets of the kingdom, getting into who knows what. Eventually, she gets tired of all the roaming and she decides to squat in what looks like an empty house, gets bored, maybe takes some pills, and starts cleaning it. To her surprise, 7 little men come home from a day in the mines and she panics. But they're actually chill. They agree to let her stay if she cooks and cleans. Problem: she knows nothing about either. But they teach her. Turns out they're part of some celibate cult or something, so she gets lucky there too. Slowly, she learns that work isn't that bad and becomes a bit less bratty. Maybe even finds Jesus or Buddha. Anyway, she's fine. Meanwhile, the queen checks the mirror and sees Snowy Gal not in the ugly school uniform, but in hippie, chic, flowy clothes, happily scrubbing floors in a chastity cult commune. The queen facepalms hard. If the king finds out, she could be toast, even with a prenup. He has conservative values, and having a daughter in a non-sex cult would definitely shatter his image. I guess maybe she considers it for a sec, it would have been hilarious, but in the end she's not ready for a divorce yet, so she hatches a plan. Now, Snowbrat was supposed to marry a prince because arranged marriages. At one point, the queen hoped education might give her more options, but with the brat heading towards becoming a flower crown non-sex cult dropout, she decides to move things along. Disguised as an old woman selling random crap, she fills her basket with spiked cider, spiked cigarettes, spiked candy, and, just in case, a spiked apple. To her surprise, the goop girl chooses the apple instead of the booze and cigs. Maybe not all hope is lost. Anyway, since everything was roofied, Snow Damsel passes out cold. The cult dwarfs enshrine her in glass like some kind of virgin martyr. The queen tips off the prince, who shows up and gives Snow Corpse the kiss of true love, pleased with himself for having had the shortest and least annoying courtship ever. And because she's been celibate forever, it works like magic. She wakes up, embraces housewife life, at least she doesn't have to clean anymore, she has hired help for that, and as a good Christian that she is, starts popping out babies. She lets herself go a bit and the queen becomes the prettiest again, until her step-granddaughter grows up, but that's another story. The end. Now, that's a movie that Rachel would rock, in my humble opinion.